We go. We are live. Good evening, everybody. We hope you've had a great weekend.
It's been an exciting weekend. Europe's Strongest Man got back from that earlier. It was a very, very fun and close competition. What a battle.
The whole way through, it was just super close. Obviously, we're going to get into it. We're going to sort of deep dive into the events and everything, talk about everything that went on. But let's first see who's in the chat with us. We've got Sam with a members comment here. What a finish on the stones. Oh, have you ever seen anything like it? Donkey Kong, well done, Luke. Elizabeth's here. Fred.
Gifting memberships again. Thank you so much, Fred, for your support, buddy.
Who else is here? Oh, we've got a super chat from Fred also. Thank you so much, Fred, saying good morning, afternoon, evening, everyone. Hope all is well. Damn, that sucked for Oleksii. Hope he recovers soon. Congrats to Luke, Aivars, and Oleksii. What a tight comp all the way. So you spoke to Oleksii afterwards, didn't you? Tell the good people what he said.
Yeah, look, I think Oleksii is just a super tough kind of guy. He's just one of these guys that doesn't like to make excuses. I asked him how he was feeling, and he's like playing everything down. He's like, I don't think it's too bad. I think like a week's time, I'm going to be fine. He's had no diagnosis from a doctor saying that. I think some of it is just Oleksii being the super tough, hardcore guy that he is. However, he doesn't seem too concerned about it. So fingers crossed, maybe not quite as bad as we first thought. But clearly, he's had a bit of an issue with this bicep for a while. Yeah. And, with World's Strongest Man coming up, it's not ideal.
No, not at all. No.
Even if it's just a small injury, it's still not what you want. You want Oleksii going to World's Strongest Man, fully fit, feeling his best. Talking to Oleksii, he's just not been able to train properly for the last 6 weeks. I was amazed after the Nicol stones that he ended up doing so well. Because it was almost like, he's just not feeling it, and then suddenly he's in contention to win at the end.
Well, he was
just shows
leading.
what a tremendous athlete he is, and just a warrior as well. But we wish him the absolute best, and as I'm sure everyone does. Because
I don't know if you could hear what they were saying on the mic. It was things like, "Oh, he's ripped his tendon from the bone."
Well, this is what I'd heard. Like, someone told me that his bicep had pinged right up, and it was completely off the bone. And then I spoke to him. He was like, "No. I think it's
nothing
just like a strain, or maybe like a minor tear. So hopefully nothing, that's going to require surgery or anything like that." But how quickly he can recover is going to be the real question mark.
Yeah. Paris here with the members' comments. Such a great Europe's Strongest Man. More slots for World's Strongest Man to fill now.
Let's go into that in a bit.
Yeah, we will. And do some theorizing. I think we're going to hear a couple of names very soon, like early next week, like from tomorrow onwards.
We're going to have to. World's Strongest Man happens in 2 weeks.
Exactly,
we're going to need to. They're going to need to know.
Wow, you'd hope. So Monica with the members comment also. Hi, Monica. Need a how many strongmen fit behind the desk pic. Honestly, when I saw that pic of Nicol, I didn't realize they put her on a box.
I was kind of like joking with her as we were on the stream. I was like, why are they making me look like the short ass here? I mean, Terry's super tall anyway. Nicol has suddenly grown 10 inches, and I'm the short one.
I can only assume there was a big issue for the cameraman with the height difference between the two of them, which is why she was put on a box. But it's such a big box.
It was a big box.
She's eye level. I'd have been terrified up there. Bless her. Oh, it's so funny. No, I hadn't seen any of that. But let's go into the competition then. So they started off with the Nicol stones. Now, Luke used to be a record holder in this.
He was at one point.
As he pointed out to me, he was like, that was the outdoor record when no one else was doing it.
Yeah.
And we knew that this would be one of those events where potentially someone could surprise us because quite a lot of the guys hadn't done it before, but also that experience really counts in that type of event, doesn't it? Like it does make a difference.
It's one of those events that like it's starting to become a bit of a staple. So athletes are now training on it. There's the implements they can buy to mimic it. It's not the same training on the pins and weights as it is using the stones. However, rather than maybe a couple of years ago when it was the first time they'd ever tried these things, they're getting experience. They're watching other guys. They're going away and training, and the distances are improving. All the time we see it.
Wow, Eddie Williams was absolutely insane last year. So no one came close to his record. But it was Andre Foitu who ended up winning that event. He did 24.18 meters, which 2 years ago, that was record. Wow, before Eddie Williams last year.
No one had gone 20 meters at one point. And then we saw, I think it was in Glasgow a couple of years ago, 4 athletes finally went to the 20-meter mark or
Yeah.
more. And then obviously Eddie Williams, whatever, 30, 35, something
It's
crazy.
31 meters,
All right,
something.
31
His is,
meters.
but that's still a lot.
But
Yeah.
anything over 20 meters is very impressive in this event. And Andre, I mean, you said before the competition, you did, I'm going to admit it, okay? Auntie Liz was like singing his praises. And I've seen him a few times, and I've been very impressed with him. But I was super impressed this weekend.
Yeah.
You
we had a private conversation after the Europe's Strongest Man video that we filmed together. I was still banging on about him. Loz was like, I think you might be getting too hyped. And no disrespect to him.
And do you know the great thing with Andre is he's got such a good head on his shoulders. He doesn't take anything personally.
No.
Know, I really like Andre.
Yeah.
We spent a fair bit of time, he came bowling with us the other day.
Well, he instigated the night out. We spoilt him, guys. When we went to Glasgow and we were doing all these nights out.
He's wanting to do things every time we see him.
After the dinner on Friday, he was like, so we're going to do something fun then. He did. So we ended up going bowling with him.
But he's a really nice kid to start with, which all right, it doesn't matter in terms of performance.
No.
But I like that about him.
I
when
like
you meet someone, they're just a good person.
Yeah.
It's nice to see. But he's been training hard. He's improving all the time. He's still only 22.
Yeah, he's 22 years old.
When you speak to him, though,
you never
think like he's got a real good head on his shoulders, very calm, methodical. He's got a game plan when he goes into these competitions. Yeah. He's getting more and more experience all the time. And yeah, you were right. He really, him and Nick Camby were the two guys that really stepped up. And, I was very impressed with both of them.
Yeah, 100%. And we'll get to Nick as well. So first place in that event, then obviously, Andre, we just talked about Shane Flowers coming in second. He was one that we've never seen
starting off really strong.
Yeah. Yeah, great start for Shane. Luke Stoltman ended up coming in third, tied with Aivars because they both got to that 20-meter line, which is the end of the course. And then behind them, Pavlo Cordiaca, 17.15. Not bad for
improvement on what we've seen with Pavlo before.
Yeah. And then just behind him was Paro Dwyer. So it was quite a few people around the 13, 14 meters mark. Obviously not a great start for Janasza. He came last on that event with 10 meters. He's been suffering with nerve pain in his hand going into this competition. And that's an event where you really don't want any hand pain beforehand, isn't it?
No, I feel for Janasza at the moment. He just can't seem to get back to his best. And he's someone that, I was lucky to compete against at his best. And he's an absolute beast. And again, a great person behind the scenes. Just a no-nonsense kind of guy. Like, you don't play games with Janasza.
No.
If he likes you, if he doesn't like you.
Where
he's
you
just
stand with
a good dude.
But yeah, he's a really nice
At the moment, in terms of performance, he just can't seem to get back to where he was.
No, it's a shame. And he's been talking about retiring at the end of that, wasn't he?
It just shows how brutal the sport is.
It really does. Just to jump into the comments a little bit, do you think Nick Camby is going to be asked to Wales? I do.
Well, we'll get to that in a second because Liz wants to go through the events for Europe, so then we'll kind of get into more of the questions and things like that.
Yeah, Liz is.
Do you want to go through them quickly?
Beast getting the videos out. Thank you.
Liz is a beast at getting the videos out. She's a machine.
Thanks. So the second event was the car walk, and interesting event because, again, going into this, we were looking at it. We were like, none of the standouts are here. Mateusz obviously had to pull out the competition. He is the world record holder in this event. But then you've got none of the Evan, Mitch, the people that we know to be the speed demons on this event. So it was kind of up for grabs. Suspected Luke would probably win.
Luke's decent at it. I mean, the reality is the times were not fast on this.
Not compared to what we've seen.
When you look at some other competitions where we've seen car walk. But I said this before the competition. This wasn't a competition about breaking records. It was about winning and, about a competitive environment. And it just ended up being that.
Yeah.
I think 4 athletes were within a second of each other on this event.
Well, you had 4 athletes at the 16-second mark. So they were Luke Stoltman in first, Nick Camby coming second on that event. Then it was Oleksii and Pavlo Cordiaca. So they were all 16 seconds something. Yeah, so it was close. And then, interestingly, there's a jump down to 22 seconds. And then there's a few guys from like 22 to 27 seconds. So close, but in like packs.
Absolutely, yep.
It was an interesting event. Really painful event for Shane Flowers because he spent 41 seconds under the yoke. And that sucks, doesn't it? I think that took a lot out of him going into the other events.
No doubt.
Then we had the deadlift ladder. Probably no huge surprises that it was won by Rauno, but Rauno was not satisfied with his time.
No, he wasn't happy with his time, but in the end, it proved to be quite convincingly easy win for him.
Yeah, it did in the end. So he did 5 in 41 seconds, and then behind him, 5 in 47 seconds was Oleksii Novikov. And this is where the competition kind of turned for Oleksii.
Got himself back into the competition.
Yeah.
Parr was really good on the deadlift, and Fredrik Johansson.
Yeah, great event for Fredrik. I felt so bad for Fredrik because he was so nervous. I spoke to him before the car walk. I was like, do you like car walk? He was like, yeah. He said, but right now I feel like I might faint from nerves.
I was impressed with Fredrik. Obviously, in the end, he got very lucky. I think he hurt his knee on the Viking press. But the guy, he looked like a tank, and he was confident in himself.
Yeah.
I've said this many times. You go to your first Giants Live, it is tough. The fast pace of the show, being in front of that many people, there's lots of factors that you might not be used to. But I'd look forward to seeing him compete again.
I hope to see him at another Giants Live, give him another shot, because I was impressed with him as well. Then what did we have? So then we went into the Viking press. Oh, this ended up being really close. And we should talk about Luke on the deadlift, because obviously, this
was Luke's worst performance, and it kind of surprised me. His tactics on this. In the end, it didn't matter, but I think the fact that he got to go, I think he almost he was very confident of getting that last bar.
Yes,
and he went slow.
Took his time with it. Yeah.
But if I was in that situation, the way you get to go last, and you'd already seen there wasn't that many fast times, make it easier for yourself by just doing a fast 4. I think you could have wrapped up the competition there and then. However, in the end, it didn't matter, and he did really perform very well on a lot of events. But maybe that was one thing that he can improve between now and World's Strongest Man. I think because they're going to have the same event at World's Strongest Man, and I think tactically he's got to be thinking, okay, I need to be quicker on those first 4.
Yeah, I think so.
Because even if you can bank on yourself getting that last one, sometimes you're just a little bit tired from previous events, and or you just miss that rep, it can cost you. Whereas if you could just secure those points, he wouldn't have been in that situation where everyone's kind of watching. We'll talk about the Stones in a minute.
Oh gosh,
that was the only thing I think. But in terms of having a run out before World's Strongest Man, it's probably a good thing that they can look at and think,
and learn from that now, rather than when it's crunch time at Worlds in the group stages. Definitely. So the Viking press, another event win for Andre there. 16 reps.
16 reps, very, very good.
Yeah. So we know he was a great log presser. He's got that shoulder power, but that doesn't necessarily always translate to other overhead events like the Viking press, does it? No,
not at all. But he's proven what a powerful young man he is.
Yeah. This was a huge event and result for Oleksii Novikov as well. And I was probably most worried for Oleksii on this event than any other because of the arm issues that he's had. But he got 14 reps on this. He beat Luke on the Viking press.
He did, yeah. I think he was second, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And then you had a few guys tied on 13.
Yes, so there were 3 guys tied on 13 reps, and they were Nick Camby in powerhouse overhead. Aivars Smaukstelis and Luke Stoltman all getting 13 reps there.
Do you know what's amazing about this competition? I mean, you're going to go onto the Stones now, and obviously a lot of you guys would have seen the Stones.
Yeah.
Smaukstelis and Stoltman tied on the Stones. They also tied on the Viking press, and they also tied on the
Nicol Stones. Yeah.
3 event ties.
Yeah, out of 5 events. Yeah, they literally tied. Yeah. So going on to the Atlas Stones, then I've never seen anything like it, honestly. So we'd had a couple of withdrawals at that point. Unfortunately, we'd lost Janasza and Fredrik. So Nick Camby didn't quite manage, or probably really feeling it at that point. This is a heavy heat competition. We must remember, it was weird seeing Nick there, but I loved it. It was like 2 worlds.
I guess because we're just used to seeing Nick at the under 105 contest.
Yeah, so we've been lucky enough to spend quite a lot of time with Nick at Clash on the Coast and OSG, and he was an incredible under 105 world champion. But it's a big step up, isn't it? Yeah. And it was still a great finish for Nick. Then we had Andre, also only 4 stones. Sorry, I'm reading them in reverse order, but I should probably go in the order of how it played out. Let's just get to Luke and Aivars.
I think, that was the exciting moment. You record in 100 frames a second?
Yes, I do.
And you can just, the hands coming off, it's clear that Aivars got his stone up first.
Yes.
But the rules have always been same on a loading event, same on stones when it comes to World's Strongest Man. It's who gets their hands off first. And when you watch, it is very, very difficult to split between them.
You can't split between them. So straight away I went to my footage and I was watching it frame by frame. And so he's got one hand there, he's got one there, and they physically, and the same frame, the hand comes off.
Yeah.
It was a dead tug. Because at first, just from the eye, I was like, Aivars won that, because you see the stone is a couple of
That's kind of almost
second.
what you're focusing on, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, that landing of the last stone. But when you go to look at the hands, it was a dead tie. It was absolutely incredible. And then in the last heat, of course, we had Oleksii and Andre. They were first and second.
I think we should point out the winner of the stones was Shane Flowers. And that actually got him into 5th place overall. Shane Stone's looking extremely, very, very good.
Yeah,
on the stones
strong
right now.
finish.
He's going to be a problem for anyone if he gets into a stone off, I think.
Yeah, definitely. No one's going to want Shane in a stone off. But yeah, the final heat was Oleksii and Andre. Now, Andre did say before we saw him in Glasgow, stones was probably the event he was least confident on. He wasn't used to putting them on sort of the higher platforms and stuff, and he needs some practice. And I think it was the only real weakness this weekend, unfortunately, wasn't it?
He's got plenty of time to improve on these weaknesses.
He's 22. Yeah, he's got all the time.
He's improving. He's getting better, and I think he'll be going to World's Strongest Man after that.
Yeah, I think so too. And Oleksii, of course, he got hurt on, I think it was the 4th stone, wasn't it? He was leading at that point. And then, of course, it fell back to the overall.
I mean, we should point out, even if he didn't get injured, it didn't look like he was going to beat the winning times.
No, he wasn't.
He looked a bit slower.
Yeah,
he actually had a bit of a stumble on the first stone.
It was still
almost came off.
Oh God, yeah. It's like, God,
so I think, injury or not, I don't think that should take away from what Aivars and Luke did.
No,
they performed fantastically well all weekend. Very consistent. But yeah, I mean, the top 3, I got the top 3 right, and I think probably a lot of people did.
Yeah.
In the wrong order.
Yeah.
I had
got Oleksii and Aivars the wrong way
I had
around.
Aivars in 3rd, Oleksii in 2nd.
Yeah, Luke in 1st. I got Andre right in 4th. I said the words, knocking on the door of the podium, and he was right there.
You did indeed.
I'm so smug about it.
She's very smug about it.
I am. You owe me an apology. You owe him an apology.
I don't believe I owe anyone an apology. I'm always happy to see people do well. It's good to see guys doing well. And I think one of the things we should talk about is, now we don't know. We haven't seen the invites yet, but people that would have qualified for Worlds.
Yeah.
So a couple of things that I know went on before this is a lot of people were told, a good performance here, you're most likely going to be invited to World's Strongest Man. Now, this isn't confirmed until World's Strongest Man announce any invitations that they're going to send out. But I think Andre will definitely get invited.
If he doesn't, we all riot.
I think Nick Camby will be invited.
I think so too.
And I think Parr deserves an invite after this weekend.
And I think Parr will get one because he tied with Pavlo and Rauno, who are both going to Worlds.
Yes. And these weren't the best events for Parr. But what I really liked about Parr this weekend, he looked like focused Parr.
He was very focused. He didn't do a Kaz impression.
No Kaz impressions. And, I think he's showing he's in good shape.
Yeah, and talking to him the night before at dinner, he was quite worried. He was like, these are not good events for me. He knows himself. And
obviously, there's going to be question marks with Oleksii right now.
Yes.
Whether he's going to go or not. So that may open up another spot. Who knows who will qualify? We'll have to wait and look on the World's Strongest Man Instagram page and see what comes out over the next few days. But hopefully soon we do know the full lineup for World's Strongest Man.
So Dalton with the super chat. Thank you so much, Dalton. So happy for Luke. He still seems to keep getting better. I don't think he's fully peaked yet.
Do you know what? Now, I don't want to offend anyone or say anything that's going to upset people. I think Luke is an amazing athlete. But I don't think he's any better this year than he was when he won a couple of years ago. In terms of, we've seen Luke be better on the Viking press before. We've seen Luke be better on a number of these events. His deadlift's improved the last couple of years, no question about that. But he looks in good shape, which is just as important when you get to a certain level. Now, I will use myself as an example. I was probably my best physically in 2012.
Before you won the bigger titles.
But I won some of my bigger titles, not necessarily when I was at my best, but I just had the experience of knowing when to push, when to pull back. And I think that's where Luke is right now. He's got plenty of experience. He's competed in many, many competitions. He's training very, very hard. He's confident in himself
Yeah.
and coping with the pressure of being in the environment. And he's a good competitor.
Yeah, he brings a good package, doesn't he?
These events were always good for Luke.
Yes.
I think, we all said before, and it looks like a great set of events. The great thing for Luke going into World's Strongest Man is very similar events. And as I said earlier, I think he's got tactics where he can even improve, because I feel if he just focused on a fast deadlift, he would have got more points. And that might be something he thinks about in the heats of Worlds to get himself into another final, which I think he's more than capable of. So Luke's looking great. Is he physically better than he was a few years ago? I don't think there's really that much difference, if I'm totally honest.
No.
If you look at what he's done, but he's putting it together when it counts. His performance at Brits was very good. Performance at Europe's this weekend was excellent.
You should have a lot of confidence going into Worlds.
I think he's in a great position. He seems happy with his life, and that helps just as much. When you don't put that pressure on yourself sometimes. Yeah, you've got he's got a lovely family, a new child. That makes you realize there's more important things. Yeah, and you can then almost have more fun competing because you don't think it's just the be all and end all.
Yeah. It's interesting because I was talking to you about this earlier. What's your opinion on people questioning Gav's lockout on the Viking press? Is he just too wide for the implement?
You said, didn't you?
I said I'm not convinced that Gav isn't actually reaching the top of where it will go.
It doesn't physically go any further.
It won't actually go any further. I don't know.
He's so wide as well.
He is wide, yeah. So he's got to bring in for a much narrower grip. I do think it's tricky for Gav to get into that.
I feel there's something off with Gav at the moment. I don't know what it is. And every athlete will have this. They'll have times where there's something going on that other people, and Gav's a private person. He's not going to come up with excuses and stuff like that, but he's not quite clicking at the moment. There's just something that's off. Because if I look at Gav, the end of last year, early this year, Britain's Strongest Man, a couple of the last big shows of last year, Gav looked to me like a top 10 guy in the world. Right now, he's just slipped back a little bit. And I don't know why. I haven't had a chance to speak to him about it. And, it could be a number of reasons. It might be nothing. But there's just something off with him right now in the last few comps. I hope he can get it sorted, because Gav can easily be top 10 in the world. He's an amazing athlete when he's on fire. He's just going through a little spell that athletes do. Oleksii's not having his best year last year. He's not having the best Martins, we've seen, is really not in great shape at all. You do see it. Athletes will peak and they'll come away, and he's just got to figure things out and get himself back to his best, because Gav is such a character. So many people love watching him. I love watching him. Yeah, and it just wasn't Gav yesterday. You look at look at the results. Everything is down on what he's normally capable of. So there's just something that's not clicking right now with Gav, but hopefully he can get that sorted for World's Strongest Man.
A lot of people talking about improvements to the stream this time. That's nice.
Awesome to hear.
Always good to hear. I was actually watching it just before we came on because I'd seen these comments. I was like, I want to watch it. Yeah. So I am a member of Official Strongman. Well, you are. I use your membership. Where are we?
Just people talking about they think Luke would have won regardless of the stone.
Okay, yeah.
I think that's fair.
Great to hear that Oleksii may not be too bad. Yeah, fingers crossed. Going to get you a little box, Lozo.
I know. I don't want to be the little one. The amount of people that now come up to me when they see me in real life and go, "Oh, you're a lot taller," because I'm a midget that looks the same height as you when we sat down.
Yeah, because it was funny when we went bowling. Rauno sat there getting his breath. Should point out, and I'm stood there and just waiting for him, and he looks at my legs and he's looking at my leggings, which are sort of touching the ground, and he's like, what's going on here? Why are your trousers so long? I was like, they're not, they're normal, I've just got really short legs. He's like having a right go at me for not having them hemmed.
Yeah, I think both will get an invite to Worlds. They both did really well this weekend.
Yeah. And, both got something special about them as well. And Nick is such a great performer, and he's always been this way as well. He's a really charismatic guy. He brings a lot to a competition. And Andre, obviously being so young, it's just exciting to watch someone with that much potential. Yeah. Like, how far can he take it?
We should do a talking strongman with Andre. If you're watching, Andre, let's make it happen.
He watches. He does watch to see if we talk about him. We're talking about you a lot. We should stop.
Chloe is in. Hey, Chloe.
Awesome show last night. Fun seeing points so close and changing events for event.
That was the fun thing with yesterday's show.
Yeah.
Like I said, I was asked in the VIP meet and greet beforehand, are we going to see world records tonight and stuff like that? And I was like, today isn't about world records. No. It's about seeing a good battle. And I like that more.
Yeah, it's more exciting.
I've always, if you see a world record and it happens, that's great. Don't get me wrong, we love seeing it. But I don't like the forcing of world records. I just like seeing great strongman competitions. And that's what we saw. It was a really entertaining show, close from start to finish. You know, a number of athletes could have won. And, you know, it went right down to the wire. It just kept it exciting throughout.
Chris is saying it was great to see Big Tom down supporting his brother.
I think that meant a lot to Luke.
They surprised him, didn't
we saw Luke the night before. He said, is Tom coming down? He's like, nah, he's not going to come and support me.
Yeah.
and then the next thing,
I
was like, I saw Tom at breakfast. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was really nice. And they didn't tell anyone. It was a complete surprise for him. So I think that meant a lot to Luke. Probably gave him that little extra as well in his performance, having Tom there with him. Never ever underestimate Luke. What was the weight of the car walk? It was 450 kilos, the car walk.
Yeah.
We've got a super chat here from Alpres Cat. Thank you. If WrestleMania came to Wembley, would you go?
Absolutely. I would love to go and watch WrestleMania.
He can go with you. There you go.
My training partner's been a few times, Nick. Yeah. Used to be a wrestler.
And we've got the members comment here from... How'd you say that? Beno? Oh, I'm not sure. I'm sorry. Aivars and Luke's stone run was epic. Oh, it was absolutely insane, wasn't it?
It was just crazy.
I need to do a frame by frame thing for you guys to put it together so you can see what we were seeing. Oh, what are you trying to click on?
Random question, but have you watched season 2 of Physical 100? I've started watching it. I'm on to about episode 4, I think.
Yeah, Europe's actually got in the way this weekend.
Yeah, I do love that show, and I love the dubbing even more.
Oh, the dubbing makes them all sound so phony, doesn't it? Which is quite funny. Like they all sound a bit sarcastic and like it's snide. I love it. How chill was Aivars? Do you know what? Like Aivars, I think it would be easy to maybe brush him off as a bit of a clown and someone who doesn't take it that seriously.
Aivars is a beast.
Aivars is an absolute animal. And you always see, just watch him closely. A split second before he starts, he's got this thing and he goes, and he switches it on.
Aivars is a very smart competitor. He's got so much experience. He knows exactly what he needs to do to put pressure on people. He's just a great competitor. And as much as I'm friends with Luke and happy to see Luke win, I would have loved to have seen Aivars as well because he's a great friend and he's done so well throughout his strongman career, but never really gets the big recognition as being seen as one of the top guys. But he genuinely is.
He's got like more 29 or 30 competition wins.
He's got more international wins than most guys.
He's got more international wins than all the other guys who were there put together.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so Aivars is a beast, but he is super chill as well. Like he turns it on, turns it off, and he's just Aivars. he's a really cool guy. We do like him, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely.
Camby and Andre 100% deserve an invite at minimum. With that, we have 3 more competitors, potentially not 3. If Oleksii doesn't pull out, then it's still just 2 more slots left to go. So it'd be interesting to see if they go down to par, like we said. I think it's unlikely that Janasza or Frederick would get invited.
I don't think Janasza will.
I hate to speculate when people might be watching and listening.
Frederick might.
He might,
I think the reason I said definitely no about Janasza, I think his body's just not letting him at the moment.
Yeah, listening to him yesterday, it didn't seem like he would accept it if he was.
But I think Camby and Andre have to be a cert.
Yeah, I think so too. Michelle with the members comment there. Hi, Loz and Liz. Par's done really well. He did. Indeed. Yeah. No, he did do well. And like you said, he seemed to be taking it quite seriously. Like, again, Par's one of those people, I think, that sometimes people think he doesn't take it that seriously, but he really does. He cares, doesn't he?
Of course he does.
Cares a lot. Did Oleksii tear the bicep? He doesn't think so, but you know, obviously he knows his
He
body.
needs to see
the
doctor
get it looked at
properly. But he thinks it's just a strain or a very minor tear.
Getting lots of questions about Thor and the Shaw Classic Strongest Man on Earth. We're going to do a dedicated video to that, I promise. We're not going to not talk about that.
Definitely exciting if he is doing that. It's great news for Brian. Brian will be over the moon to get that. And Brian doesn't really do one-off lifters as well, so I presume he's going to do the whole show. I've not had a chance to watch Thor's video yet. That's why we haven't sort of said too much. Like Liz said, we will do a proper video, but I'm excited to know that Thor is going to that show. Yeah,
definitely, especially with those events as well. I think we could see something special. Rauno putting in a great performance for an old man after knee surgery. Yeah, like both knees he had done as well after OSG, didn't he? He wasn't satisfied with that deadlift because he knows he could be quicker.
He wasn't satisfied with his whole performance. In terms of, he believes he can do better, and he probably can.
Yeah, he probably can. He said, well, strongest man, I'll be ready. And we saw what
he was like. Him and Aivars have been training week in, week out together. One of them goes to one's gym one week, the other one comes the other, and they're pushing each other. And, clearly they're both in decent shape.
Yeah. Duncan with the members chat here. What was the full weight of the car? Yeah, so it was 450 kilos for the car, which is pretty standard for Giant Live. Is that right?
It's always the same weight, the car.
Okay. Rauno keeping the pressure on the younger guys. Jane with a members comment. Shane only had 15 minutes between car walk and deadlift, and that's the problem. Like, you really get punished when you don't perform well in something. You're straight back out again. It's no time at all. And that 15 minutes when they're trying to get into their deadlift suit, get a couple of warm-ups in, it goes by like
Rauno did 1 rep in warm-ups on the deadlift.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying others didn't. I just know because he told me.
Yeah.
He did 250 kilos for 1 rep.
Yeah.
That was his warm-up for the deadlift.
Yeah.
It's quite common at a strongman comp not to really do a whole lot of warming up between events. Once you go in, it's just go time.
Was Pavlo okay? Were the events just much worse for him, or is he not in peak shape?
They weren't great events for Pavlo.
No,
I said this before. Colin and myself had a bit of a chat up in the VIP, and he's like, because I didn't think Pavlo would be top 4 at this comp. Not because I don't think Pavlo's a great athlete. He's a great athlete, but these events were much worse for him than last year's events at Europe.
Quite different, yeah.
And I think it just shows that how many times you guys get bored of me saying strongman is about events and right set of events. There's guys that are great. Wrong set of events, not so much. 90% of strongmen can be put into that group. Then the real good guys can just perform no matter what the events.
Yeah, that is true. Anthony here with a super chat. Thank you, Anthony. Luke's win demonstrates how important what's that say? Tablet coaching is. I think Shane is great at coaching for Luke, just like Loz with Mitch. Any thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think having the right coach for you is super important. There's lots of good coaches out there. There's also bad coaches as well. But having the right coach for you as an individual is highly important. And Shane and Luke are clearly working very well together.
Yeah, I think also like sometimes a change is as good as a rest, isn't it? And it's given maybe Luke a little bit more of a new sense of purpose in his training.
Do you know one thing I will say, because I really like Dan, right? Dan, Tom's coach, and I think Dan and Tom work really well together. But I think it was a good decision for Luke to leave Tom because, Dan, because sometimes Luke can be a critical thing. I think a lot of us feel is that sometimes he just puts so much into Tom. He's
separate the two. Yeah, in their training.
To be like, you are a great athlete, and we're going to focus on this. He's always going to support his brother. That's one of the reasons we love them so much. That it's that kind of
family unit.
Yeah. But maybe Luke just did need, right? You know what? Fuck Tom. We're focusing on you. I mean that like in a loving way.
Respectfully, fuck you.
Yeah. But Luke is a great athlete.
Yeah, no.
And sometimes you just think that maybe need just one person to focus on you.
Yeah,
because they are.
Don't be selfish. They
are a team.
Yeah.
They're a team. But strongman is an individual sport. So for Luke to do the best he can, maybe he just does need that one guy focusing on him. Tom and Dan work really well together. Shane and Luke work really well together. Obviously, Tom and Luke will always be the Stoltman brothers. They'll always be that unit. They're always going to support each other. But in terms of training and things, like Luke's got to focus on his thing.
Big Bag Beery with a member's comment asking, stone over hitching post better than stone to platform? I think I prefer it because I hate that fiddling around with a hole can be...
You don't like fiddling with a hole, Auntie Liz?
No, you know what I mean. Like when you saw Oleksii's stone sort of wobbling around, like balancing a stone shouldn't be part of a measure of whether or not you're Europe's strongest man when it gets down to the nitty gritty. I think I prefer it. What do you think?
I've been distracted because I've seen whose comment is a few down.
Oh, okay. Go on. Well, what do you think? Answer the question.
One thing I will say, I don't like the lighter stones at Europe's.
No, I don't.
I would have preferred to see the heavier set of stones.
I do understand why they did it, but I still don't like
I do
it.
as well, but I was talking to Terry about this. I sometimes think a lighter set of stones can be just as, if not more dangerous.
Because they go so fast.
Because you have to push for that speed. Whereas sometimes when they're heavier, you actually slow yourself down because you have to.
Yeah.
Just to get that lapping position. But and you know, it's not Giants Life's fault. Giants Life put out their contests a year in advance, and then this big company called AMG come and decide World's Strongest Man is going to be slap bang.
It's going to be bang right 2 weeks later. Yeah.
And then you're kind of working around it, and you know the Giants Life team don't want to kill the athletes, knowing they've got that coming up. I personally would love to see Europe's away from World's Strongest Man because I think Europe's is a huge title, and it should be seen as that. And you want I want to see Tom Stoltman doing Europe's Strongest Man. I want to see all the top guys doing it. But I understand the reasoning. So there's no right or wrong answer to it. It's everyone trying to sort of keep the athletes as safe as possible, keep it still as an entertaining show. And we did have that amazing close finish that we wouldn't be talking about if it was the heavier set. So lots of ifs and buts. That's never an issue. But I think in that situation where there is that tie, then I'd like to see the stone over the hitching post and let's decide who the winner is.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Had Aivars won that event, they would have tied on points and Aivars would have won overall because not count back the last event rule. Yeah. So it actually ended up being super important to Aivars, obviously, but
to both.
Yeah, of course, to both of them. Yeah. So a decider would be cool, but. There you go. That's not part of
what's Rauno saying.
I will beat him in stone off. Who's he talking about?
Probably Aivars.
Yeah. Hi, haven't seen, long time. We sort of lost Rauno last. Oh, funny story, guys. We left the venue and I'd booked an Uber. And we're trying to figure out, we did something stupid, really, but it all turned out fine, didn't it?
I wasn't too concerned.
No, we left the venue trying to figure out where our Uber would come from, and suddenly car pulls up. Laurence, you're a legend. It's a man with his son, maybe 12 years old, the son. 13. And he's like, do you guys want a lift? And Loz was like, yeah. And I'm thinking, oh my God, Loz, you're going to get us killed. This lovely man, he drove us back to our hotel.
Him and his son were lovely.
And he was he was very happy.
I can't remember what the guy was called. I think his son was called Oliver.
Yes.
And they were really, really nice.
Yeah, they were really lovely. And took us back to our hotel and just pleased us punch it with it. Yeah. So we all won last night.
But don't get into cars with strangers.
No, don't get into cars with strangers. No.
Unless you're absolutely shattered from a late night.
Unless you've got a Loz.
Just want to get
Liz text you. Yeah. Don't worry, I wasn't going to let him do anything to Loz.
Oh, thanks,
no, that's okay. But yeah, we didn't get to see because Rauno had to leave at 6:30 this morning.
We'll see him soon.
Hopefully. Yeah, we'll see him soon. I digress. Why and how does Aivars have so many international wins from lesser known shows? He is 5th full-time in international wins.
I think he just likes competing, so he does a lot more shows than some of the guys. But
he's done a lot of the Strongman Champions Leagues. He's a 2-time world champion in the Strongman Champions League.
He's talking about retiring. I'm like, Aivars, you're too good to retire. Just do less shows.
Yeah, so absolutely don't you dare. Just pick the ones you want to do. Do 3 or 4, like most normal strongmen. Just don't do 12 to 20 a year. And you'll feel like you've retired. No, we hope he doesn't because we are super fond of him.
Anyone see the Mark Felix tribute yesterday?
Well, that was one of the reasons I put the stream on, because there I couldn't really hear it properly, and
that was really
I wanted
nice.
to see it. It was nice. Yeah, it's nice to. I remember,
and Mark's just a great guy.
Yeah, well, like your last World's Strongest Man, when you got injured, when they did the TV bit, there was like a tribute thing that they'd made for you, and it was really special. And it's nice to have something like that. So
definitely,
I'm glad Mark got one. Where are we? Just please win your group, Rauno. Yeah, Rauno. Frederick Johansson lifted all of the bars in the deadlift without a suit. Very impressive.
His deadlift is strong.
It was really impressive. It was very clear. He's a really strong guy, has some great events. And I just think...
You know, he's been doing it for a long time.
Yeah, he has. He's
kind
like
of just
38,
steadily,
isn't he?
just steadily getting better. And it just shows, you know, you don't have to rush this stuff. Just keep improving, keep getting better. I'd love to see him get another opportunity at Giants Live.
Definitely. Liz, pro bowler, a bowler, sorry. Do you know what, though? I didn't lose. I beat 3 whole people.
You did. You did very well.
Yeah, that wasn't bad for me. I got a strike. I got a spare. I was happy. I was hitting pins, man. I can see Voitu, Camby, and Par getting an invite from this. I think so, too.
Yeah. The thing is, as well, they need some reserves. They'll have reserves as well. So who knows?
Yeah, and more people could end up in than we expect. Cousin Fred, thank you for the super chat. Liz, where can I get Team Rauno shirt? So he's going to be selling them very soon. Do you know what? Rauno has turned his spare room into like a sweatshop that he's got him and his girlfriend working. He's been designing tops. He's printing them all himself, and he wanted it up before Europe's, but he's just been working like a maniac to get it already. So, they're going to be live on a website very soon. And we will, of course, share the links if you guys want to wrap. Soon in my eShop, I will announce 1 to 2 week. There you go. There you are. Everyone needs a t-shirt from Rauno.
Yeah. What have we got? Rauno talking about he'll get it up.
Talking about what? He'll get it up.
He'll get his shop up.
Oh,
sorry.
Beg your pardon.
I should probably
clarify.
Yes, clarify. Lots of people happy to see Rauno.
Rauno, am I allowed to read these texts out loud? He was telling me who he said he beat in the stone off.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but you two going head to head, you'd kill each other.
Yeah.
Much better if you just win the group and don't get into the stone off.
That would be nice. Austin, thank you for the super chat. I missed the start. How bad is Oleksii's arm? Repeat what Oleksii said to you, Lazo.
So he thinks it's not as bad as he initially first thought. He's hoping it's just like a small strain and he's okay in like a week or so. Fingers crossed that's the case. Obviously, he's not had a chance to see someone yet, so we really don't know. But it sounds like it wasn't quite as bad as maybe it was made out to be.
Here we go. Alan with the members chat there. Loz, any update on the app?
The app is coming. It is coming. It's just taking a while. Just it's a lot of work, and it's trying to fit everything in.
It's literally a case of filming a video that matches every single exercise and linking it all in, and just making sure it's like when it goes live, you want it to be.
Yeah, I just want it to all be ready once it's up. So it's almost there. There's hopefully very soon it will be.
There was no option for closed captioning on the live stream for individuals with hearing difficulties. It's strange because the live stream usually has it. Oh, interesting. We'll have to give that feedback to the team. I know they've made some changes because
we've got like pause and rewind now, and
that wasn't working at first, but they fixed it halfway through the show. I only know that because Lynn Morehouse was updating people on Reddit to let them know.
One of the worst things for the three of us that were doing the live stream was where they put us. And they've done it before.
Right. You were on the same side of the barrier as all the fans, weren't you?
And it's, you hate being rude to fans.
Of course.
But when people are trying to come up to you while you're trying to do something, it's hard to hear as it is.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much noise going on that me and Terry are both half deaf. So we can't hear what's going on anyway. We're relying on Nicol to kind of tell us what's happening.
Yeah. And you got someone.
People are like knocking on the back of your shoulder and stuff. It is tough in that situation. I think eventually having an area for the commentators that's almost like away from it all, where they can really hear everything well.
Yeah.
Because at the moment you're almost battling between what's going on the stage. There's a lot of noise going on elsewhere.
It's funny though, because every venue's different as well, isn't it? Like the layout, the space that they've got to utilize for different things. Because there's quite a lot going on. You need an area for athletes, somewhere where the crew can be, somewhere where they can safely move equipment in and out in between events.
The reality is, you look at. I mean, we were talking to some of the crew. In terms of just the lighting and stuff like that, the improvements that they do all the time. They're trying to make the shows bigger and better, and without question, I'm not saying this because Giants Live and my friends and stuff like that. They put the best one-day shows on. They do. If you're wanting to go as a fan, I would recommend going to Giants Live over going to World's Strongest Man. I mean, World's Strongest Man is great if you're going to make a holiday of it.
Yeah.
But if you want to go for a one-day show, go to a Giants Live. I think they're fantastic. I think you'll have fun. The amount of people we meet and people are like, oh, it was just a great evening. It was the atmosphere was amazing. You get to meet the athletes a lot of the time. And
do you know what I wish? I wish the production team would balance out the sound a bit better. So when you're watching the stream, you can hear the audience. Like, you still want to be able to hear the people on the mic, of course, but it sounds so quiet, and it's really not the case. The place vibrates with the sound that the audience makes, and that does not come across on the stream at all.
Because people have said to me, like,
why is it so weird, the atmosphere?
Well, do you remember that comment we had a few weeks ago? Like, oh, the Arnold's is much busier.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not even close.
They sold out this venue completely. What was it? Is it 10 or 12,000?
The very top.
Direct.
When Eddie did the deadlift and myself won, the top was open.
Yeah,
that was closed off. No.
Oh,
the top level was closed off.
Okay.
So it was less.
Right. Okay.
I think it was either 6,000 or 8,000.
Last night.
Yes, but it was sold out in terms of the amount they put tickets on for.
Right. Okay.
But when Eddie did the 500, and I won Europe's, it was 12.
I'm amazed you managed to get 12.
But let's remember, back then there wasn't as many competitions.
No, that's
true.
There's
a lot more competitions.
Yes,
so
that's true. Yeah. Liz calling Gav the sausage could still be affecting him psychologically. Do you know what? I actually, because I couldn't remember how that had even come about. So I went back through mine and Gav's old messages, and I remember now. It was in 2020. Do you remember they were group hopping? They had moved them around so many times, and we were saying like so and so and so and so is the bread, and like Gav is just the filling being moved, and we came up with the sausage. It wasn't just me; it was Gav too.
Yeah. Calling Liz, who is my height, a midget is mildly off-putting. Sorry, Malcolm.
I'm not a midget. I'm like, what am I? 5'6 3/4. I've shrunk a bit.
Cantilever is saying, does Loz have any inkling who World's Strongest Man alternates will be? Perhaps Paro Dwyer. I think Paro will get in.
I think Paro will get in. So we've got 4 slots.
Yeah, I don't know who the alternates will be. We don't even know who the last 4 athletes will be.
No.
But I would take a good stab at saying Foytu, Nick Camby, and Par will all get direct invites.
Yeah, I think so too.
I mean, I've said I think Tristan Hoyth and Lucas Hatton should be invited. Whether they will or not is hard to say.
Yeah, or like reserves is the minimum. Reserves would be like for someone who's not been training for it, especially because at least the guys at Europe's have been training for similar events for the heats. For the other guys, being invited as a reserve is kind of perfect in a way, because you get to go, you get to see how it all runs, you get the experience of being there, and like you can take a lot from that, can't you?
Absolutely.
And like hopefully for next year, if you're not lucky enough to get him. How does Aivars perform so well while smoking in between events?
I have to ask him. I remember going to train with Terry and some of his training partners years ago when Terry was smoking a lot.
Yeah.
And a lot of his training partners smoked. And you just do an event and they'd be smoking and it was killing me.
Yeah.
Whereas they were fine.
They were fine. They conditioned their lungs over time, I guess.
Maybe that's the secret.
Yeah. I mean, in strongman, you've only got to do something for 60 to 75 seconds, haven't you? So
that's so easy for someone to say that doesn't do it.
no, but it's not like he's running a marathon
No, I
with
know,
smoker's lungs, is it?
Sure.
He's doing something for 60 to 75 seconds. So yeah, it's obviously not affecting him that bad, or you'd think he'd stop.
You know, maybe it'd be better if he didn't, but he's happy.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah,
maybe it helps keep him chilled out.
Yeah,
so maybe that helps him.
Nicotine's a stimulant anyway, so maybe he's giving him that little extra. I don't know. We're not promoting smoking.
Yeah.
Well done, Liz, for giving Aivars a tactical swig of Monster before the stones. Need to do that before every event. Paris, that was actually water. They have this sponsor. What's it called? Liquid Death.
Yeah.
But it's water in a can, and I just think the name is so over the top. It's water, still water. Yeah. Yeah, I had to wipe all of his sweat off as well a few times. It was dripping, but then they're all covered in tacky.
Oh, I just helped him with his suit, that's all.
Yeah, you're not getting... not for feeding them their drinks and stuff.
Devon Larratt going to take Leven Soul in 6 days. I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, God, he's so excited.
East versus West. Auntie Liz is going to be forced to watch it.
I will watch it. I'll happily watch it.
Some good matches on that card.
I just don't want to sit here and talk about it.
Got to say congratulations as well to my Swindon Crusader teammates who had a PAA contest yesterday, and lots of them did really, really well. So I was gutted that I couldn't go. First ever arm wrestling comp while I've been doing arm wrestling in my hometown. Yeah. And obviously I was at Europe's Strongest Man, so I couldn't go, but the guys did really well. So if any of you are watching, well done, lads.
Lewis is saying, clocking in from uni halls. You guys are on at pre-drinks, got an audience here. That's quite a terrifying idea, isn't it? My goodness. Hi. Do your studies. Do well. Is Aivars the only smoker of the current top athletes? I think so. Some of them smoke socially.
Yeah.
Like when they get together, they might have a cigarette, but back at home, no.
Not many of them smoke.
No, not many at all. Like back a few years ago, a lot more smoked, didn't they? But less so now. Get more vaping now. But actually, I don't even think many of them vape either, do they?
No, not too many.
Do you think anyone at Europe's deserves an invite more than Lucas Hatton? Oh, that's a hard one. Do you know what? It's so hard because we both think Lucas deserves an invite on merit alone. He's America's Strongest Man. He beat some great guys there, and he beat some great guys at the Arnold UK as well. However, he has not done any of the competitions that would officially get him invited. Had he done OSG, which he had signed up to do, but ended up pulling out of, you know, he most likely would be going now. But at the same time, like the World's Strongest Man qualifying tour, for the most part, Giants Live shows, they're invitational as well. So it's really hard. Like OSG is kind of the only way, isn't it? If you're not already...
Both of us have a lot of time for Lucas. We both think he's an amazing athlete.
I started a petition.
You know, I genuinely would love to see him there. I think he's one of the few guys that hasn't been invited that could potentially be in the final. You know, he's very, very good. From what we've seen, super impressed. The reality is OSG means a lot these days. And if you are an athlete that wants to get to Worlds, I highly, highly recommend you go down that route. I had an interesting message this week from some Iranian athletes that seem to think I can select people to World's Strongest Man, which was...
Your inbox blew up. I don't know what's happened.
I was like, oh, wow, I'm like some king. But the reality is I have no power whatsoever. I will happily say what I think. And without question, I think Lucas Hatton deserves an invite to World's Strongest Man. But they have their system. Whether it's right or wrong, we can all debate and argue. I don't think the current system is perfect by any means, but it's better than it was a few years ago. Yeah. Because a few years ago, it was just invites. Whereas now, at least, there is a set path for anyone in the world to go to if they wish. Now, there can be many reasons why people can't go down that route, just whether it's a clash of bookings, cost, location, you know, there's many factors. The reality is Lucas Hatton is an incredible strongman. He's proven it. If he keeps winning competitions, he will get invited.
Yeah, because he'll be unignorable.
You just make yourself, you know, no.
I'm not sure it is. A long weekend.
But unfortunately, I don't think Lucas is going to get an invite. If it was up to me and I had the power to put people into
We'd
World's
invite
Strongest Man, 100% I'd invite him.
Elizabeth here with the members comment. Is that Elizabeth, Detective Roy Buffett? I think so. You, Laurence, would have won with those events.
100%.
Yeah. Well, saying before Europe, you were like, man, these would have been good events for me.
They would have been very good events for me or for Terry as well.
Yeah,
we were both talking about that.
Similar
they would have
strengths,
been great events for both of us. But that's strongman, you know. And I'm joking when I say 100%, but it would have been very good events for me. You know, deadlift was always good. Viking press was a decent overhead for the most part. I would have won the car walk with that lineup. What was the carrying stones is good for me.
Yeah.
Stones are hit or miss. When I had to be good at them, I was good at them.
Yeah.
So yeah, it would have been good events, but say la vie.
Well, yeah, you're not there now.
You can only go on events that you have in the time that you're competing.
Yeah.
And I did win Europe.
Mind you did. Thank you so much for the super chat. I love strongman, but I have a question. Who of all the strongmen that came to mind has the worst protein parts? Much love from the USA. Terry Holland, and it is not even close. I'm not joking. Yes, Terry.
There you go.
Who do you reckon?
There's probably a lot, but Terry just happily farts.
Too happily. He's too loose with his farting. Yeah.
I'm sure Eddie's up there.
Eddie's up there. Yeah.
I'm sure most of them, but some are just quite happy to let them go around anyone.
Some of them
other
find it
people
funny.
are a bit more respectful.
You know who you'll never hear fart? Go on.
Auntie Liz.
No. Well, yes. But who else?
Rauno.
Yeah.
It's because he's a gentleman.
He is.
He takes high offense.
He's highly offended by other people as well.
Moving on from farts.
Yes. The right set of events. Where are we? Luke needs his head as much as Tom. They both need their focus, as Martha.
Elpress cat.
Also hate fiddling around with a hole. Thor versus Tom in the Manhood Stones has me excited. Yes, that's going to be a battle of the ages, isn't it?
Yes.
At Brian's competition.
Yeah, that would be really exciting.
Max Stone. I really hope everyone can get there healthy. Like
that's just.
It's so. Oh, I know. I just feel like I've already been hurt so much this year, and we're only in April.
It's like we started off with the Arnolds, and it was so exciting to see so many world champions kind of coming there, and it's just sort of.
It's fallen apart a little bit, hasn't it? With the guys who, you know, we're now not going to have Mateusz and Martins. Like Oleksii's a big question mark right now, and it's a shame. But fingers crossed, everyone can. Do you know what
I will say about Worlds this year? It's a great chance for some new guys to really shine.
Yeah, well, 100%. Yeah, definitely. I expect like Matt Ragg and Evans.
I think we're going to see some surprises. I do, especially for like finals. I've got a good idea of who I think the top few guys will be, but I think we could have some real surprises and some new faces doing very, very well.
Wide open. Jetplan, thank you so much for becoming a member. Welcome to the family. A dirty mind is a joy forever, says Rick.
You got to have a dirty mind, otherwise.
Who has the deepest voice in Strongman? Evans Nana.
Evans Nana?
He's got a deep voice.
He has, I guess. Aivars and Luke both have pretty deep voices.
They do. Evans Nana has a really deep voice.
Maybe. I've never really thought of him as a deep voiced person, but maybe he is.
Yeah, he is a deep voiced person.
I'm just thinking of him as a lovely sort of like a Labrador. He's got
a really deep voice. No, very deep.
Yeah.
Do you know what? Aivars has a very deep voice, but he often talks in a very sing-songy way. Like, Luke. Lukey. But he does actually have a very deep voice. But Luke's obviously got a deep voice as well. You know who doesn't? Mark Felix. Not as deep as he looks.
No, Mark does not have a deep voice.
Oh dear. What if Janasza got rid of the 100 kilo stone and instead do like 120, 40, 60, 70, 80? I saw a comment about how maybe 190 would be a good sort of bargaining tool, like do 110 to 190 instead. Yeah. Loz is over it.
World's Strongest Man final, it goes up to 210.
Yeah.
I think Brian's comp goes up to 200 and something.
No, it's going to be a max stone.
I know, but in the past.
Okay, yes.
Europe's has gone up to 200 many times.
Mm.
It's just odd when it changes.
Yeah.
That's the only thing.
Yeah.
But it happens in strongman.
Zane, thank you very much for the super chat. With talk of Mateusz being the strongest not to win a major, are we saying WUS events weren't a major? They're ridiculous lineups for those years.
I guess the problem with the WUS comps is they just were only a few of them.
There was 2018.
Mm-hmm.
You competed in that one, didn't you? It's the only one you did, I think.
Yeah.
And that was good, to be fair.
Really
that
good.
had Thor, Brian, Martins, Mateusz, you, Janasza, JF,
Zadrunas,
Tom and
Terry,
Luke,
Tom and Luke.
I am Bibby.
That was a good lineup.
That was definitely a major. The 2019 one was very good as well, which Mateusz won. That also had Brian, pretty much all the top guys apart from Thor.
I mean, this is something that's an interesting kind of discussion, because you could go back to John Paul Sigmarsson. Now, John Paul won in 1990.
Yeah.
And a lot, like myself included, think that last event was a bit of a joke. But he won the pure strength when it was just Jean Paul, Jeff Capes,
10 events, wasn't it?
Yeah, he won 8 of the 10 events.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
It was only 3 of them.
Yeah.
But maybe we could class that as a major, because it was like there was no World's Strongest Man that year.
Yeah.
It was the premier event with the top 3 strongmen in the world.
There's no real defining. Because the lineups were great. I mean, I would say the WUS Bahrain you could class as a major with the lineup. I know not everyone liked the events though. The one they did later that year, I wouldn't call a major.
Yeah, it's difficult, I guess. Like, how do you establish a major?
Yeah,
because you kind of need it to keep going as well.
Yeah, I think it probably didn't go on for long enough, to be honest. But I mean,
if the Shore Classic suddenly stops, do we class that as a major?
In the future,
if Rogue suddenly stops, but if they keep going for 10, 15, 20 years, you have to see them as majors, and you're always going to look back and see who won the first. Whereas, unfortunately for WUS, they've done 4 competitions, but 2 in 1 year.
Yeah, so, and one of those definitely wasn't a major.
Yeah.
The one in September 2021, it was a smaller lineup, and half the field was split. Half of them were at the Giants live show.
Yes.
Because they clashed dates, didn't they? So, yeah, it's hard. Like,
it's certainly a big competition.
Yeah, it was a big competition.
And you can't fault who you beat at that competition.
No.
All you can do is beat who you beat. And for a lot of the guys, it was a great payday.
Yeah.
And for Kiliashkovsky, he's won multiple decent competitions.
Yeah. And he won some of the Arnold's Pro Series as well, didn't he?
Yeah.
So, he's won big competitions.
He's beaten everyone there is to beat.
He has. Thank you so much for becoming a member. The person who asked about farts. Lovely. Ivars isn't that old. No, that's right. He's 36. Alejandro, thank you for the super chat. Lack of viewership, injured World's Strongest Man past winners, no Mateusz, no Thor, no hype, boring events, or Stone's 2-man horse race. This will be an awful World's Strongest Man. Wow, with that attitude, it will be. I think my biggest issue out of all of this is the lack of hype. Personally, because I think that could kill it more than anything.
Yeah, there's always been years where people have got injured, and you can only beat who turns up to a competition. So I'll never take anything away from an athlete for winning. You can only beat who's there.
Yeah.
And you can, we can all argue that someone would win if they were there, but they weren't. So you never know for sure. You never know what's going to happen at a competition. But I agree with the lack of hype. It's been poor from World's Strongest Man. I'm hoping in the next few weeks that changes and we do see some build up to it.
To be fair,
we will build up as much as we can. Just
we'll be the hype.
We're stupid and we just love strongman.
Yeah. No Mateusz and Thor though. That's been the case since 2019, with the exception of last year. Mateusz was in, but he wasn't in shape
Martins for a number of years. He's been hit and miss whether he's coming to compete or not. There's a lot of new faces now, which will be great. And we've seen in the past, there's been times where you look and it's like a changing of the guard, and you don't know who this guy is, and then suddenly
we're all excited about
Magnus Ver Magnusson was a 3-time champion and then didn't make the final.
Yeah.
And you had this new breed of athletes that came in, and we may see that. We may see the next Mitch Hooper. a couple of years ago, no one knew who Mitch was.
No.
There's going to be someone else that comes along and, you know, surprises people. The top level changes quite regularly. You know, you get new athletes coming in. I probably, like most people, think it's a 2-horse race between Mitch and Tom. I think Evan Singleton and Matt Ragg are probably going to be fighting for 3rd place, which should be a good battle.
Yeah.
Who knows who comes next after that? It could be anyone. You know, there's so many possibilities. What kind of shape is Trey Mitchell in? Is he good enough to be back to his best? Are some of these new guys going to kind of, you know, surprise people? There's so many interesting battles and stories still to go on. Is someone like Rauno going to make the final with a stone off? Shane,
Yes.
you know, there's arguments to have. There's conversations to have. There's going to be exciting things. There's going to be things that we all get upset about. Let's see what happens. But let's just hope and keep our fingers crossed that World's Strongest Man do try and hype this up.
People asking where the puppy is.
She's been a really good girl.
Absolute angel. She's calming down a lot now, guys. Like, everything's going really smoothly. So please do not jinx this. We took her for a lovely long walk. Now she's had all her vaccinations. She's allowed to meet other dogs. She's loving meeting other dogs.
Oh, she is, yeah.
She really wanted to play with this massive German Shepherd earlier, and I'm a bit on flipping it. She's like, because the owner said, oh, you know, he's quite selective because he was bit by a cockapoo or something. Yeah. So he's a little bit wary of smaller dogs. So yeah, she's a bundle of energy. So we just try and wear her out before we get on the live.
I'm sure during the lives during World she'll be.
Oh, she's going to make an appearance of you. Yeah, definitely.
She's asleep right now. Look at her cute face.
She's so smushy. I think I saw Liz sitting next to Luke Richardson. Yes, how is he doing?
He's doing good. Luke is doing good.
He's got such a positive attitude as well. It'd be so easy just to be like, you know, but he's got a great attitude. Another really young man who ridiculously talented. He's had some horrible luck, but I think like his mindset's starting to change a little bit. He's coming up with a plan, isn't he? Of
if he just gets a little bit of luck, that guy is a potential, you know, champion for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I'm going to call this person Warm Mind because I think that's what it says. Thank you so much for another super chat. Big fan of Strongman. Much love from the USA. Hoping for a speedy recovery for Oleksii. Any updates on Janasza?
I didn't get a chance to speak to him after. Yes, like
no,
I spoke to him quite a bit beforehand. You know, I get on well with him, but I just didn't see him after the show.
No, it was all a bit of a rush afterwards. I spoke to Colin, who had spoken to him, and Colin said to me basically what he said on the mic that you know, talking to Janasza, he's talking about retiring, like his body's had enough. He never really has fully been the same since his tricep in 2019. He's won one competition since then, the Siberian Power Show. He won one year, didn't he? But it's really caused him a lot of aggro over the years. And
he was actually decent at Worlds last year, but he just had a really tough group.
Yeah, a horrible group, yeah. But no further updates, unfortunately. Helen, with the members comment, can't wait till Britain's Strongest Woman going for my 50th.
Yeah, Britain's Strongest Woman and England's Strongest Man the same weekend. That will be
same day, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, it's going to be up in York this year.
Yes.
Which I'm most looking forward to. I've never been to York.
I think that's the first comp after Worlds that we'll be going to.
Is it?
I believe so.
Is it before?
I think so. I think it's in June.
Oh, is it? Oh, there you go then. Sooner than I thought. I don't know why I thought it was much later in the summer. Where are we? Was the top really closed off last night? Because when I looked around, I thought it was a full 12,000. That's what I thought, Adam, because I saw people up there.
No. The very top was curtained.
Was it?
Yep.
I need to recheck my footage, man. There's ghosts up there.
Promise you.
There you go. Where are we? Liquid death kills your thirst is the idea. No, I get it. I just think it's very dramatic for for water. Devon 1. Apparently Devon 11 just hooked up or something. Talking about who vapes.
You vape.
How dare you?
What do you mean, how dare I?
Lies and false propaganda.
What's this? Everyone knows you vape.
Shut up. I've lost track. People are having conversations in the
Probably
chat.
about farts, I think, at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Check the members' extras for a funny fart clip with both Liz and Loz.
Yeah, I remember that. I farted, didn't I? And you were very, very offended.
That's not a members. That's a short.
Short.
Yeah, yeah. Toxic Strongman, it's called. That one stunk. That was awful. I remember that. Wow. It was just, you kept farting on top of the old one, and the old one had never really gone away. It was just building and building. Very bad day to have a nose. Eddie regularly lets one rip in his videos.
Yeah.
Still can't believe Eddie gassed out a maternity yoga class. No way. I think, oh my God, if I was pregnant and you farted in me, I'd probably punch you. I have such a sensitive stomach. Gross.
Oh, that is funny. We fell right behind you, didn't we?
We did. I didn't realise how much by.
Here we go.
Craig, thank you so much for the super chat. Was really pulling for Luke to win. So during the Luke and Aivars Stoltman, my heart rate was going way up. Great show all round. Been watching the channel since 2020. You do great stuff. Much love from New Zealand. Thank you so much, Craig.
We want to come to New Zealand, don't we?
We'd love to come to New Zealand at some point. Yeah, but yeah. Oh, my heart was going a dime a dozen during that, and but cheering them both, just excited for
both
them
good guys, aren't they?
Yeah, and that's the great thing sometimes. At the end of the day, you don't even care who wins because they've all worked hard, they all really want it, and they're great people as well. So it was just really good fun. It's like Evan's voice is running on diesel and everyone else is using petrol. Thank you. He's got a super deep voice.
Yeah, he does.
He does. So you're kidding, the look on Loz's face. I don't know what they're talking about.
No, that's the thing when we fall behind.
Versus Loz farts. Yeah, we've properly.
If you're talking about, I would have had a smug look on my face.
Yeah. Elizabeth, you're not a peasant, you're a queen. I don't know. I don't think he's talking to me. Ken with the members chat. How good would T-Rex be in physical 100 or others?
Well, if you look at the first event, it was a running event. He would have been rubbish at that. Any strongman would have been rubbish at that. Even Mitch Hooper would have been rubbish compared to some of those other guys. It all comes down to events. But, there's events that strongmen would be very, very good at and events that we would struggle at as well. Yeah.
You see, like you saw on that first event, nearly all the big guys were out straight away, weren't they?
Yeah. I think it was last year they did just like a holding themselves up for ages. Do you remember that?
Yeah, and in any position that they like.
Yeah, we're tough, we've got great grips, but we're heavy.
Realistically, I'd beat you on that. Yeah. I wouldn't beat him on much, but I think I could probably hold myself up for longer because I could get my arms in. Your arms wouldn't even fit in that. Where are we?
So I'll take a look at some of the arm wrestling stuff when I get a chance. Probably tomorrow I'll have a look at what's being posted.
Have you ever thought of competing in grip competitions, Lizzie?
Yes, and I may do some grip comps in the future. I do like a little bit of grip.
Rick Dent, thank you so much for gifting memberships. And yeah, it's a short and not a members extra. So there you go. I think it's a good time to wrap up. We've been on for over an hour, but now you need to Google search on YouTube, Toxic Strongman, and you'll get to see exactly what we were talking about. Lovely way to finish your evening, morning, whatever time it is for you.
I don't suggest they do that. Auntie Liz is asking, so you probably should.
Right. Do you want to wrap, Lazo?
It's been a fun weekend. We've got some big videos coming up. Obviously, build up to World's Strongest Man starting.
We are the hype party.
The pup is waking up.
Yeah.
So we're going to have lots of hype building up to Worlds. Come and join us for that, guys. Thank you once again for all the support. For those of you that are at Europe's Strongest Man, we've got to meet. Awesome to meet you. Hopefully meet more of you at events later in the year.
Congratulations again to Luke Stoltman.
Yeah, the two-time Europe's Strongest Man. His brother is the two-time World's Strongest Man. There's a big competition coming up. Going to be interesting to see how they do there.
It's going to be a full-out war between the Stoltmans and Mitch Hooper, I think. I'm here for it. Right, we're literally right here.
Right, guys, take care. We'll catch you soon.
And you smile and wave.